You gotta know what's best for yourself. You can't just think every opportunity is a great opportunity.
Come on, I'm in the middle of DJing my set right now. I'm about to go on stage for a show right now. I can't talk about what you want to do. I'm focused on what I'm about to do.
Welcome back to another episode of the Producergrind podcast. As always, we got the man CEO Dylan in the building. What's good?
We're good.
And the man Carrington.
Obama.
How you feeling today, bro?
Chilling with a feeling, boy.
Yeah, we grabbed you out. We grabbed you out the barber's chair, man.
I know, right? I was down there and just had to make it up here. I thought I was starting later on, but it's all good.
I think the week got confused because we get ready to head to Dallas in the morning, man. It just seemed like we've been scrambling. There's so much to do, bro.
I know we got that event coming up.
Yeah.
Big event. But who we got in the building today?
Our guest today has worked with A$AP Rocky, Ritz, Starlito, Freddie Gibbs, Ugly God, Sleepy Brown, Jericho, and has done great work on that new Superfly soundtrack that just dropped. Please welcome to the podcast, DJ Burn One.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all gotta stop with that snappy shit. That shit weak, yeah. That snappy shit weak. We gotta think of something better than that.
We knew like just air claps. What you want to do? Air claps?
I don't know something, but I don't know something.
Why did 20 go so smooth and 21 is just jank? Well, here's the problem, man. You know, when the people get the actual episode has been edited and touched, and you get your claps, and then we in here, it's all silence. We do like a sound effect button or something.
Yeah, we do need something.
That horn.
Yeah.
But anyway, this dude DJ Burn One, man. Welcome to the building. Appreciate you for joining us, brother.
Thank you for having me.
How you feeling today?
I'm feeling wonderful.
Yeah, you feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Things are looking up, man. It's nice, you know. It's like you work really hard for a long time, and you try to perfect your craft and do things. So it's nice to see, feel that tide turning and feeling that good momentum start going the right way,
That good energy.
So it's easy for everybody to feel like if you've been doing something for a long time, like, am I fucking crazy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, am I right to even be doing this? Like when you don't see that immediate result,
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see like the Superfly should go through and be like the first song on there.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know DJ Burn One, how would you describe DJ Burn One in a few sentences?
Oh, in a few sentences. I don't know. I'm just a guy who loves music. And I'm really intrigued by making it at this point. You know what I'm saying? Making music and everything about it. I've been playing bass a lot lately. Just like been in the hole, learning about mixing and mastering and just learning everything I can about it. That way I could just be more of use,
Yeah,
like
most definitely.
I tweeted the other day, I was like, I'm so much more useful today than I was 5 years ago. I can shoot videos, I can do mixing, I can do mastering, I can make the beat, I can find the artist, I can market the artist, I can, you know what I'm saying? There's so much stuff I could do now that 5-10 years ago was like.
Being a producer from Atlanta, it's so easy to just go trap it out completely, right? And not to say that you don't make trap music, but your music has an eclectic sound to it, almost like a earthier, hippier type thing than most trap music, right? How would you describe, or what is the reason why you're a producer that's from Atlanta, but your music doesn't necessarily sound like Atlanta?
I think it's just, I think it's, whatever you're raised on, like your influences, Like I was raised on a lot of UGK, N.O. Joe, 3-6 Mafia, Organized Noize, a lot of like live instrumentation mixed with samples, So when I started producing, the first stuff I started doing was doing samples. And then I got to a point I was like, this is incredibly easy. Like it just felt so easy. Like when I did Houston Old Head and Rolling Up, those were like practice beats from the first year that I was doing beats. And I didn't have that much value for them because I did them so quick, like each of them were like 5 or 10 minutes. And obviously other people thought differently, you know what I'm saying? But it came so easy. I was like, all right, this is cool and it's fun. But I'm like, I realized I was using, every time I sampled a record, there's maybe like 70, 80 years of experience on that record. That bass player been playing for 15 years. That producer been producing for 15 years. The singer been, So it's like you get to just grab a little piece, loop it, make a beat, and you're like, fucking amazing. It's like it's easy to be like, oh yeah, now I'm a producer, But I wanted to be like, and that's totally fine. That's hip hop. It's based off samples, but I wanted to create the sample. I was like, that's a fucking challenge. Like, how do I make a piece of magic moment, just for that, whatever. And then expand upon it and then just put my own thing. So we just try to always make sure like the drums are knocking, but everything else around. It was funny too, because when I first started producing, I was like, I just need a guitar player. You know what I'm saying? Or I just need a couple live instruments and I throw them in the room and the thing will be done. And you're like, fuck. Somebody plays for like 15 minutes. You're like, what part you gonna keep? Where you gonna put it? And then you're like, oh, now you gotta think about arrangement and all this other stuff. So when I got with Go Rican Go and Walt Live, those are my two partners. we spent like the first 4 years going in like 4 or 5 days a week, 18-hour days, just making music.
Talk about that 10,000 hours. You can try to hit that immediately.
Man, now it seems so easy to me now. Like when we're working now, it's just like water. Like my brain, I don't even have to use it. It's just like things happen. Like my arrangement, I was working on a record for David Banner yesterday. We got a record with Banner that's so fucking tight. But I was working on it yesterday, and it's like, I could just go in this toolbox of like this encyclopedia, you know, like from all the movies I've watched, from all the songs I've heard. I got possible song transitions in my head, and I'm like, okay, well, in this song, they did this and did that. You know, I think that's where that quote comes from. Great artists don't borrow, they steal. You know, it's not about like taking a thing. It's like the concept. You know what I'm saying? Not the actual thing. It's the concept of like, oh, I can do, you know, like on the Sleepy record, you know? I was like, damn. The song was going. I had the first 2 sections. I was like, we need some stabs, Walt. Yeah. You know, and so he did that dun, 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 you know? And I was like, all right, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I needed in that. But it was like, we didn't try to do a Curtis Mayfield thing. It was just like, some stabs would be tight, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just like having that encyclopedia to pull from, you know?
Do you think starting off, listening to all the music that you listen to, I read that your dad used to listen to a lot of country music.
Yeah.
You know, so you had a lot of, you were exposed to a lot of different genres. Now, do you think that helps you now in your creative process and making music?
Yeah, absolutely. Like my mom used to listen to like B98.5, which is like the 80s soft rock pop station.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm reading that.
And my dad was like Merle Haggard, Montgomery Gentry, like Elvis Gospel and shit like that, you know? And it's cool. You just build up this encyclopedia, you know, if you pay attention. And it's weird now because I listen to music totally different than I used to listen to it. You know, I used to like unconsciously listen to music or subconsciously listen to music. Now I'm like, oh, that's an interesting drum pattern, or this right here is cool. That's a nice lick. To where before I'm just enjoying the shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool to have all this stuff just from enjoying it before I try to really break it down. But then even coming back now and listening to stuff fresh and hearing, you know, UGK is like hearing it for the first time now. Yes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that fucking lick just hitting right on that snare just sets that turnaround off. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things that now I can incorporate. But it definitely informed why I make music the way I do, you know?
So I had read that, you know, you started as a DJ and then you took a year off from DJing completely just to work on production, right? And you kind of touched on that a little bit. Can you talk about what that year looked like for you?
So I was doing mixtapes, I was doing artist tapes. Like I already did Chicken Talk and I did Dro's Future Legends, and I done a couple tapes. I think the last tape I really did that I really fucked with was Pill 4180.
Yeah, he was dope.
Super tight, man. But
what happened to Pill?
I don't know. Probably have to ask him. I don't know. He's dope. I see him around, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But as far as that, you know, consistency's big, man. Yeah. You know, you can't really go missing for too long. Like I feel like I've kind of gone missing from the public, even though I've been working. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I've been like developing my shit, and all those relationships I have are still there. You know what I'm saying? But it's harder for an artist to just go missing, because it's like, where the hell you been? Music moves so fast, then it sounds like you're trying to catch the wave. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But when I did the 4180 tape, I loved the original songs he did. I like the freestyles too, but I was like, man, the original songs, I just wish I had beats to give him, you know? So I was like, you know what? Instead of me sitting here bitching about the quality of music that I'm getting, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, let me learn how to make beats, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I just took a year off. Luckily, I was just making enough money from hosting tapes and stuff to where I didn't have to work, you know what I'm saying? And so just every day I wake up, make 5 beats. You know?
Now, how'd you get into DJing? Because I also read that back in high school, you were like selling mixtapes, selling CDs. So did that play a role in you becoming a DJ?
Yeah, I kind of just fell into it, man. Like I remember I initially started like 9th grade, just messing around with Sony Acid Pro, doing like little blends. Like I used to love DJ Jelly and Camp tapes. You know what I'm saying?
You know about that Acid Pro? That sounds a little bit before my age, before my time.
I picked up a reason.
I remember still uses
I think DJ Payne still uses it too.
Yeah, DJ Payne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dog. But I used to just do little blends and stuff. I was calling myself DJ Chaos. You know what I'm saying? Just like not even touching the turntable. And then I started selling mixtapes. I just take like the top 10 songs on the radio. And I was like the only person that knew how to work a CD burner back then. You know, I was like one of the first people up on the internet, computers and all that shit in my school. So I like burn CDs and people be like, you know, that's how I even got my name. Because once I started working at this CD store, I'd bring like, I had like trap music, the real copy, advanced copies, like real copies before they came out because the CD store I was working at. And I'll be selling for $20. I'm like, man, burn me one, burn one. Because they're so used to getting my cheap tapes for like $10 or something, you know? I was like, all right, I'll burn one. I like that. But yeah, like starting off from that, and then I ended up working at a music store. And I was selling those same mixtapes with like 10 random songs. And then I think drama had started just to come around. And somebody was like, why don't you do something like that? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, why don't you go get some exclusives from some artists around that you fuck with and then just put it out? I was like, all right. You know what I'm saying? And so when I was in high school, I used to just get off every day. Every day I'd get out and I'd just drive around 285 on my dad's little red pickup truck and fucking drop CDs off in consignment, you know, talk to the owners and get some game. You know, like before I wouldn't even, like I had a cover, but I wouldn't even draw on the CD. The guy's like, what are you gonna do if somebody takes that CD out and, you know, like like leaves it around something else? I'm like, all right. So I just used to listen. You know what I'm saying? Like I just never talk. I just listen. And one thing led to another, you know. Eventually led me to doing beats. That eventually led me to touring as a tour DJ for Bubba Sparxx.
Oh,
okay.
So I went on tour with him for like 3 years while he had Miss New Booty. Like after that.
Talk about it.
Wild, man. Wild. It was a good time. You know, it's like one of them times that you wouldn't trade it for nothing, but you look back, you're like, how are we still alive? You know what I'm saying? Like, just keeping it all the way real. You know, it's like being out on the road like 4 times a week, flying everywhere, not having like, and it wasn't like, when you have a big record like that, unless you've kind of set it up, now they're better with touring and stuff like that. Like Kendrick will have a whole route mapped out. Back then, you were just going to get random show money. So you're flying like literally back and forth across the country. Doing a couple shows in Cali, fly to Detroit, fly to New York, then fly back to the fucking Midwest. And it's like the trips didn't make no sense. Like there was no routing, you know? And it's like you just end up spending a lot of time out there. So what do? Drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just where it goes, you know?
Coffee.
So it's cool. It's like, it was good to go through that, to be at where I'm at now, like a much more, you know, like I still smoke, but it's like I'm like off the alcohol and other shit. But it's good, man. It's nice to get that life experience.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I feel
definitely.
like you can't tell somebody not to wild out.
Yeah.
Somebody just got to wild and like catch the consequences a couple times and be like, all right, I'm gonna calm down. I'm like, I done pushed enough speed into my, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shit. Now I'm like, all right, I can find where to move and how, you know?
Now, when you was touring and you were saying like, you know, partying, living that lifestyle, could you hear, when you go back and listen to the music you made then, can you hear those influences in your music?
I wasn't even making music then.
You weren't making music
I was
at
doing
all.
tapes.
Just
I was doing tapes. I wasn't even making beats. I was managing and producing. My partner Walt, I was managing him.
Okay.
Like he did God in the Building for Killer Mike, and Tracy C. Swagger Right Check was kind of like a big Atlanta record at the time.
Oh, okay.
But I wasn't really making beats at the time. And honestly, looking back, I wasn't focused. You know what I'm saying? Like things I've learned that I could share now is like, a lot of people don't get a second chance. You know what I'm saying? If that was the only chance I got, I probably would have fucking blown it. You know what I'm saying? It was just because I wasn't focused. You know, it's like when you go from making no money to making a couple thousand a week. And I was even living with my parents still because I was so young. I was like 19. You know, it's like you don't value shit. And you think it's going to come forever. You know what I'm saying? So as opposed to me like taking that money in and like starting to make beats then and investing in my shit then, I was just kicking it with the homies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like hitting the fucking bar every day, fucking playing pool and buying wings and beer for everybody and fucking spending all night at the studio, not actually probably doing shit for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like
most definitely.
a tape or two probably came out from it, but I was just looking back, I'm like, now what I do in the 24 hours versus what then I did in the 24 hours, it's like remarkably different. Like every week, I'm like, whoa, I'm so much better at bass, or I'm so much better at this. And back then, it's like, why isn't shit moving? Why is it? You know what I'm saying? Like you're questioning stuff, but then you're like, well, what am I putting into it?
Other than maturity, okay, so putting into it, maybe a little bit of maturity. Is there anything else that kind of forced your hand to make that change?
The law, you know what I'm saying? The law, you know, you bump your head against the law, they're gonna be like, all right, you know.
And not to put your business out there, but you walked in with your beautiful family and the shorties, you know what I'm saying? So as always, I know that caused a lot of people to look at their lives differently.
Oh, yeah. You know, I definitely faced the point of like, you can either drink or have a family. But you can't do both. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, my dad was alcoholic. Luckily, he got off it. And then my dad's dad was like a piece of shit alcoholic. And then my mom's whole family just like, you know, it's like you learn so much shit once you come through the other side. And you're like, oh, shit, I got crazy tolerance because of my family. It's not just, oh, I could hold my fucking shit. You know, it's like, no, my whole family can fucking hold their shit. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
And then you just end up going too far. But it's cool, man. You know, it's like, it's nice to have people that genuinely support you. You know what I'm saying? And it's also nice to have people that don't take shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, here's the fucking line. You know what I'm saying? You make the decision. So that's cool, man.
Thank you for sharing, man. That's real as hell, man. I want to come back to that year you took off to make beats. What software, what machine, or what device did you pick up first?
When I was in high school, I used to just like dick around on Fruity Loops and just like draw random drum patterns in, but I wasn't really producing. But then when I started to really make beats, I was using Reason.
My man.
Yeah, I like. I remember chopping the samples and recycling.
Why reason? I'm just curious.
At the time, Ableton wasn't really known like that, and then FL was just a little bit. It didn't really speak to me.
Yeah.
That's why I realized certain things speak to certain people. Like the bass now really speaks to me way more than keys. I can play keys, I can get the job done, but it's like playing bass, I feel that shit. So therefore, I want to do it more, and I spend more time. You know, when I open up Reason, it just sounded good to me. I could get to the point. I could use Recycle to chop the samples because I feel like, especially when you first start making music, you emulate your heroes, the people that you grew up on. So all my beats sounded like fake DJ Tune beats, fake 3 6 Mafia beats. I didn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? You're just like, oh man, that little fucking lick that's like, oh, it's a wah guitar sample in there. And you make the beat and you're like, wow, that really sounds like something Tune would do or whoever, you know? And then you eventually find your own style through going through that, you know?
Quick question. Who invented trap music?
Oh man, definitely T.I. and Tune. You know what I'm saying? Like the man made an album called Trap Music. Like anything other than that is just not true. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you want to say who you know, to the next whatever. I mean, shit. You know, obviously Jeezy was the one who like I would say popularized it. You know what I'm saying? Because you got like innovators, inventors, and you know like all the different distinctions. Like T.I. was the inventor. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Jeezy was like the innovator that made everybody want to be that. You know what I'm saying? Like when Trapper Dot came out, everybody who was a trapper wanted to rap. You know, and then Gucci was like the logical next version of that. Like I like Gucci so much when I met him because he was like telling these like really like fucked up stories of like robbing people and all this crazy shit, but it was funny. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why is this shit so funny? Like this dude's like, he's a goofy dude. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a funny dude, but he's rapping about real shit. And I'm like, if I get a kick out of this shit, somebody else.
Did you read the book?
Yeah. Luckily, I got a story in there. That shit's too funny.
Like I feel like you're the first person we've actually had on that read the book. Can you talk about your thoughts?
The book's amazing, dog. I think the author, who's a guy I know, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. Neil. Yeah. Neil Martinez Belkin. He was really dope, man. I felt like he kept it in Gucci's voice the whole time, so you feel like you're talking to Gucci the whole time. Every time I get somebody to like just pick it up at my house, when they pick it up, they're like, they can't put that shit down. And that was the same way. I read it in like 2 days.
Dang.
Yeah, it was just like, it was that good. And it was funny, like, I was happy they included my story in there. You know what I'm saying? Like going back to like times you could have easily died. You know what I'm saying? Like that was definitely like one of those times of like just wild, you know what I'm saying? Like drugs, money, guns involved, extra shit, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, luckily, my dad always gave me the foresight. He was like, if you ever feel like anything's going down, get the fuck out of there. And he would never cuss, but he said that just to like let me know, like I'm not bullshitting with you, get the fuck out of there, you know? And it's like I had that hair pop up in the back of my neck, you know, folks arguing and shit. Like, we need to get the fuck out of here. Got in the car and fucking dipped.
So we were talking about like the evolution of trap, and now you obviously are working with some like what people would consider the new version of trap nowadays, like working with Ugly God. What are your thoughts on where trap has gone and how it's expanded?
It's interesting. I think the biggest, most interesting part is how like EDM culture has like kind of, I don't want to say subverted it or taken it or gentrified it, whatever the fuck you want to say. How they've kind of, they have kind of like adopted it and kind of like made it into something that totally, I don't really think it's trap music, but it has 808, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, to me, like trap music is part of like, is an extension of hip hop as far as like being the street reporters. You know what I'm saying? The shit Gucci was saying was what it was, but it was true. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, as soon as you just make it like a party, and it's cool, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like an interesting thing. It was just an interesting turn. I really don't know how I feel about it still. I'm just like, it just kind of is what it is. But seeing other people, you know, like now everybody's on trap shit. You know, like I just listened to Christina Aguilera album. She's got a damn near trap album. You know, it's like, it's pretty fucking amazing. Maroon 5 got a trap song out. You know, it's like just hearing those drums.
Pop is very trap. I'm starting to notice that like when you grab a road trip and just throw on the radio, like pop is very trap influenced now.
Yeah. Fucking
I think it's
Gomez,
like the energy.
all these people, like they got, it's hip hop is cool.
Yeah.
So they want to be cool. So it's like doing like the old school. That ain't really, you know what I'm saying? That ain't a thing. People want to.
They want some rhythm.
Yeah, they want to hear it. They want the hop. They want the bounce. They want the 808 to drop, you know? And it's like, you can't really do a song without 808. Even in the Sleepy Brown song, it's like a really traditional song. But if you listen on the break, that doom, doom, I fucking put a boom, 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 boom. You know, it's like
Some
just to have the 808 at one part, you know? It's like,
well, how
just
do
to
you
warm
feel
up.
about what people are calling like boom trap, if you will.
Boom trap. I know Illmind does the blap. What do you call it?
I think he
The
does
Black
trap.
Challenge, right? Or are you talking about the
Well, no,
Black?
that's Blap Challenge, but he does boom trap. I think he had an
Boom
instrument
trap.
album called
yeah,
Boom
yeah.
Trap. But when I was listening to like Logic or like I listened to like a futuristic, like you can hear that sound all in it where it's very trap influenced, but the sound selection is more curated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Than the average trap song.
It's cool. It's interesting, man. I like seeing how stuff kind of like splinters off and like develops these own little. I think that's just cool. You know what I'm saying? I love subgenres and like little shit like that, like lo-fi, like the lo-fi hip hop's real big right now. You know, like to me, all this stuff sounds exactly the same, but I love each and every one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody's like lo-fi, I pull it, I'm like, that's a lo-fi beat, but it's jamming and it's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's fun, man. I think as long as people are doing what inspires them, you know, it's cool. I just don't like when people like shark off the culture and don't pay it forward.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think culture appropriation is like real. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's one thing we were talking about during pre-production and have a conversation about 5 Points Bakery. You know, that was kind of the, 5 Points, that term has such a cultural connotation in the city. Like, yo, you want to go feel something, go down to 5 Points. You know? Can you talk about why you guys even chose that name?
Yeah, as I was on tour, I realized that most decent metropolitan cities have a place called 5 Points, and it's usually the area where everybody's kind of accepted.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna see somebody with purple hair, you're gonna see the gay couple, you're gonna see, young black kids, you're gonna see some Mexican people, you're gonna see everything, and nobody's looking at each other funny. Folks are just coexisting, being themselves. You know, that was like me in high school. You know. Like I grew up in an all-black area downtown in Hapeville, and then I moved to a white area, predominantly in McDonough, to go to high school. And I sat at the multicultural table. You know, like people naturally segregate themselves. So it was like white, black, multicultural, whatever. And then I was at like the table with like the Asian kid, the black kid, the Indian kid. Like I was literally at that table. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I thought about like what are we gonna call what we're doing, I feel like we kind of embody that 5 Points culture of like everybody's welcome. Everything is like even when we work with people musically, I don't unless there's specifically a reason why I call somebody in to do something like we got flute players and stuff. You know, like we work with this guy who's a teacher at Doug High. He's like the band leader, but he came and played flute on the Sleepy Joint.
That's dope. That's dope.
And it's like I'll let him do whatever you do, and then if I hear something after that, then I'll bring it in. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I'm bringing you in for your taste, for your flavor, for your style. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the old way of conducting. And of course, if you got 56 people in the room and you got, you're going to have some charts and shit. But it's like, if I'm bringing them in one by one, just do your fucking thing. And then I'm going to ask, like, all right, maybe I can get something else right here or whatever, Well, but it's just embodying that. Ricky always says, foreign to the ear, familiar to the spirit. That is us.
Say it again.
Foreign to the ear, familiar to the spirit. Like that's exactly our sound. Like when people hear it, they're like, damn, that sounds like something. They get nostalgia, but it don't sound like shit you've heard. But the energy, the vibe, the way we got a little tape manipulation or a little bit of the wah or a little bit of the bass line funk, a little language on the bass lick or, you know what I'm saying? It just feels like, damn, this shit reminds me of something, But you ain't heard it.
Yeah,
you haven't heard it. Like, it don't sound like nothing, I love that feeling, Like, that's just priceless. Like, when people were hearing, like, when I started looking at the comments for the Sleepy Brown record on Twitter, let me just see what people are saying. And everybody was fucking with that shit. I could just tell people just want something fresh. You know what I'm saying? Because it don't sound like Curtis. It's just got energy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's got energy. Like, there's no one song where we're like, let's remake Lil Child Running Wild or let's remake this or that. It was just like, let's vibe.
And Sleepy,
you know what I'm saying?
Sleepy is a funk music legacy, isn't he?
Man, I feel like he's like the second coming. You know what I'm saying? Like the second coming of Curtis. Like if that was our modern day, you know what I'm saying? Like he's in that vein. So it was like to do that specifically with him. Like I had a real surreal moment while we were at Stankonia finishing up the record. Because we had pretty much everything done. And then we needed a bridge. I was like, man, needs a bridge. And so we went up there and I brought some background singers. And it just so happened we walked in and Preston Crump, who played the bass line for countless records, Southern Playlist of Cadillac, Music, Sorry Miss Jackson, fucking my favorite beat of all time, The Art of Storytelling Part 1. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the reason why I play bass. I love bass chords and all that shit just because of what he did on there. Like actually I walked out of the room and I walked back in and he was playing my bass line that I did. It was like an incredibly surreal moment. And then he was figuring it out. And so dude was like, oh, can you show him? I'm like, because he had a 5-string and I played it on a 4-string and I was like, Yeah, you know, like I'm like fumbling over the notes, like trying to show my bass hero the reason why I do this, that. And fucking Chance Parkman was in there, the guy that played keys on Outkast Liberation, Sorry Miss Jackson, and all these records. Like, yo, you got something? He goes in there and like he's like, yo, let me see. He goes in there on the baby grand piano and just starts playing for like 20 minutes. I'm just in tears. Just, beautiful. The power of music, dog. That's why I love music so much, because it cuts through all the fucking bullshit.
I know we're transitioning, but I do want to ask you, the Art of Organized Noize, the documentary, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Just talk to me about your feelings about that, because I'll never get to share these thoughts with a lot of people.
Man, it's tight. It's tight, man. It was really dope. You know, I've luckily been able to build a real cool relationship with Ray Murray. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, building one with Sleepy too, you know? Yeah. But it's interesting, man. You know, I mean, I feel like there's like a lot of lessons for people to learn, you know? I feel like people need to learn. That's a big thing to do, you know? Like, get yourself some knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool to just do your thing and just go. You know what I'm saying? But it's also cool to be like, who has come before me? What has been done before? So I know what not, you know what I'm saying? What to do, what not to do, what I can do that they've done but differently. Where, you know what I'm saying? Find your place to...
It trips me out that people are willing to move to Atlanta to pursue their music career, and they don't really know the history of why they're moving. I could point you to that movie or that documentary, that thing said, you need to get down here. And that Art of Organized Noize is definitely one of those things.
Yeah, man. And it's interesting too, just saying like the dynamic of, you know, because you just hear the music and I would just always read the credits. So you just see Organized Noize, but then you watch the documentary and you're like, damn, Ray was really like doing a lot of the heavy lifting, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know Sleepy was playing the bass lines early. You know what I'm saying? Just certain things you learn, you're like, okay, you know? But just like, even just from some of the pitfalls, you know what I'm saying? Of like, everything that was involved, and then, you know, just how certain drugs, you know? Cocaine is just bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say I'm fucking perfect, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, it should just deteriorate your mental and makes you make really fucking bad decisions, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So to see like, you know, I feel like that's why Andre rapped that on Spaghetti Junction. He said people elope with ski slopes and fall like avalanches. You know, it's like, that shit's real. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we can dabble and learn and whatever, but it's like certain things are really detrimental, you know? And I think people just need to understand what they're putting in their bodies. I think everybody's getting more health conscious, you know what I'm saying? Not to be all preachy and shit, but it's like people want to be around, you know? Like a good friend of mine passed away like 8 months ago. That kind of led to where I'm at today, Seth Firkins. He was known as Future's engineer. He makes fucking everything, you know. All the shit you've really heard from Future since Dirty Sprite, he pretty much did. With countless other shit, you know. But he like, you know, probably worked himself to death. You know what I'm saying? Like in the studio working, you know. We were working on some shit right before he passed too. And I remember when the last time I seen him, just been like, this looks bigger than I ever remember. You know what I'm saying? Like just put more weight, you know what I'm saying? And just seemed more unhealthy. And it didn't, you know, you don't think like about to pass away unhealthy. Yeah. I didn't see, we live in the South, there's big people everywhere. Yeah. We didn't see it for a while. But I think it's just, you know, it's a reminder that music is important, getting shit done is important, but also taking care of yourself is like incredibly important. You know, it's like, before I used to didn't care, but now it's like, I want to fucking be around. Yeah. You know, even before I had kids, I just wanted to be around. You know, it's like, I got shit to do. So I got things I want to accomplish. I'm not learning all this shit just so I could fucking go bomb myself. You know what I'm saying?
You're dropping a lot of knowledge and a lot of gems, but like, so what advice would you give? Like, what are some of the things you would just say to a young producer now? Like, with all the things that you've learned along your career, what would you just suggest to a producer, tell a young producer?
Focus on learning the business as much as you do learning how to make music.
And how do they go about doing that?
There's a lot of free resources out there. And also too, it's like now we're in the age of information. Yeah. So it's like, you have to learn how to discern. You know, you have to learn how to be like, when you watch a YouTube video, I go to YouTube University every day.
Exactly.
And you get 10 minutes of information. I only need a minute of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I only grab the part to where I'm like, truth. Yeah. I'm taking that part. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this part, I need that. You know, and then they say some shit and you're like,
they just don't sound right.
I don't know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not going to leave a hating comment. I'm not going to do none of that. I'm just going to take what I need from it and then move on. You know what I'm saying? So with like information like that, there's plenty of information from like actual sources, you know what I'm saying, that you can go to and learn about. And I actually just started a nonprofit called Fast Forward United. Okay. It's mainly focused on teaching kids how to make music and how to learn business. But we're going to start a website for everybody to where you can learn what is a producer agreement, what is a producer deck, what are royalty points, what is publishing. What do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't understand masters and compositions and how all this stuff works. What is a work for hire? You know? It's like back in the day, you know, musicians would play
a bass line and say, you know, the 40s and 50s or whatever, and they would just get paid whatever the union scale was. You know, like, you know, you play the bass line, you get $100, you know? And then people realize, I'm fucking writing this music. You know what I'm saying? If somebody didn't tell me what to write, I'm a writer. Therefore, I deserve publishing. Therefore, I should be eating off the album sales. And this $100 you're giving me up front is pennies on the, you know what I'm saying? So it's like now people are realizing, okay, writers share credit, and they're learning more about it. But I would just, you know, because the thing is, you're going to learn one way or another. It's just either going to be the good way or the hard way.
Yeah, and it seems
you
like,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You're going to learn.
We were talking about earlier how you had certain situations happen where you learned the hard way. So if you want to elaborate on those, just so people can have a more of an understanding of what that situation was.
Yeah, you know, like the work I did on A$AP Rocky's first project that really blew him up and put him on the map, Live Love A$AP. The 2 records I did on there, you know, they reached out to me for the records. They're like, yo, you got 2 on there. We picked these 2 beats. It's funny, they found them on my SoundClick. I just threw them up there. I just wasn't really thinking about it. And, you know, they said they were going to pay me. So I was like, cool. I sent the files over. And
The stems?
yeah. And just didn't hear nothing back. You know what I'm saying? Something happened with the A&R. He got locked up on like some weirdo shit. And like on the humbug or some shit. And then I just didn't hear back. And I just wasn't on my business enough to follow up with it. And I think like maybe a year or 2 later, I got a lawyer, but I didn't like put him up on what was going on. And I was just like, trusting the system. You're like, well, I'm an honest person. So I think other people that behave like me, cut that shit out. Take everybody for what they're at. You know what I'm saying? Know where you are, know where people are at. And so I just didn't super follow up on it. You know what I'm saying? So like maybe 8 months ago, RCA, the label that put it out, hit me up. They're like, yo, we want to pay for one of these records. And I hit them back. I'm like, is this a joke? You know what I'm saying? It's been like 6-7 years. You know what I'm saying? And in the process, in the past like year or 2, I've been trying to like get it settled, figure it out. And finally, yeah, pretty much they hit me up for that and then went MIA again for like another couple months. And I'm like, what is wrong with these fucking people? Who are these people? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, come to find out they're still not trying to pay me. You know what I'm saying? Like they're basically saying the master costs too much to clear. Lionel Richie's one of the writers on one of the records. They're not talking about the other sample because of course they're hitting you with the redirect. Like, oh, this one, not this one. But you know, it's a reminder to like stay on top of your business. You know what I'm saying? Like had I at the time handled it right, you know what I'm saying? I had somebody just on them. That's why you get a lawyer. So somebody's on them fighting for your behalf, you know? They would have been on them, then it would be cool, you know? But so I got a copyright litigator involved and he's like, well, it's been 7 years and it's like statute of limitations and all that shit. So it's just like, you know, I found out from one of the producers, they didn't even try to clear the samples at first. Which technically is fraud. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't just put out music, you know what I'm saying? And he was on a major label, dog. So this is part of like how major labels have bastardized mixtapes. You know, it's like it used to be like as an artist, you didn't have a lot. This is your way to get your music out to the world. Like when we did Chicken Talk, I sold Gucci on, if you're reading the book, I sold him on doing mixtapes by saying, yo, you don't have to worry about Big Cat or whoever this is. You can just put your own shit out, get it to the people and go book shows. You know what I'm saying? And that's great if you're unsigned or in a bad contract or whatever. When you're first signed to a label, they got millions of dollars to put behind you and they choose not to pay for the beats.
Yeah.
It's just fucked up. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up. And then you're looking at this dude balling and you're looking at the YouTube footage of people going crazy in Paris at the Bataclan to your shit. And then it's like, you know, the people are telling you, oh yeah, he only performed it two times or something. I'm like, I see these people going fucking crazy out here. You tell me he only performed this song twice, you know? And then everybody's coming to me, these records are classics. And I'm like, I got nothing to show for
So
this
how's
shit.
that relationship now?
I don't fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Like if they want to come right and pay me some money, you know what I'm saying? It was funny. Because I had the producer Pierre Bourne sign. I discovered him and kind of like help him, you know, kind of get his foot in the door. And they were trying to sign him, and so of course they called me up, sucking my dick. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, we're getting all A$AP Rocky back with his old producers and this, that, and you know, it's all fucking.
So that's the other thing I wanted to ask you about how you felt about it, because from a consumer standpoint, you for a while you were A$AP Rocky's producer. Like being in the industry, we know nobody's really anybody's producer, but for a while you were A$AP Rocky's producer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So how does that what about that part?
Man, Image is hilarious, dog. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny. It's just funny the impressions that people get just from that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, I can't tell how many times people have like looked at me like, oh, you on now. You good. You know what I'm saying? I know you eating right. I know you da-da-da. And you're like, it's a little tough right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, just keeping all the way real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just tough to earn a living freelancing anything, dog. Whether you're a writer, fucking musician,
photographer,
anything, bro. If you're freelance, bro, you're earning it every fucking day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's really weird, you know. Even just all the shit I've done, you know, people come up, oh, you're a legend, this, that, and the other, and you're like, my pockets don't feel like a legend right now. You know what I'm saying? But I'd realized I wasn't investing in myself, and that's why I wasn't getting that return. So, like I said, the past 5 years, I've just been in a fucking hole, learning, becoming better, becoming more valuable. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, wow. When I walk into a studio with like Sleepy Brown and we're like doing this bridge, and I got background singers doing these parts, and I got, you know, putting this piano and I'm getting all this shit in there. I'm just fucking moving. You know, it's like somebody took a video like while we were working, and I was like, damn, I look way more calm than I was internally. You know what I'm saying? Like inside, I'm like a little bit, you know what I'm saying, a little anxious or whatever. I know what I'm doing, but I'm just a little bit of like, you know, like stage fright before you go on, like good butterflies. But I was looking calm because I knew what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I've studied, I've learned, I've grown, I've tried and erred myself to the point of where like I can tell Sleepy Brown when he's like, I don't really think you should add this. Let me try it. You know? And then like him turning around 10 minutes later after he goes in there, he's like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was a couple elements towards the end of adding on the Sleepy Brown song where Ray Murray was like, man, he was telling me these stories, and it's always good getting stories from OGs, you know? He's like, man, with Southern Playlistic, he was like, I put a sound on every track on this board. And it's like 72 tracks. He was like, I'm taking a bunch of this shit out because it was too much. He was like, don't overload it. I was like, I feel you. But I also got Chance Parkman right here, and I want to hear these fucking keys just for this. I was like, if it don't work, I ain't going to use it. You know, he was like, bet. And then once everything got in there, he came over there to me. He like, what more could you fucking ask for than your fucking heroes? You know what I'm saying? Being like, bet. You know, like, I'm good.
And my favorite part is the payout had nothing to do with money or anything material.
Nothing,
exactly.
Nothing, bro. Money wouldn't have made me feel better about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
All right, so we have a segment here on the Producergrind podcast. It is the factor. So what we do is we give you a topic to talk about for 30 seconds without pausing, saying or anything. Just gotta go straight. Wonderful. So for the topic for today, we want you to talk about the culture of the 5 Points Bakery. All right, you got it?
Yeah.
El, you got the timer?
DJ Burn One, you are on the factor. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Set. Go.
Our whole energy is Ricky saying, we're foreign to the ear, familiar to the spirit, you know? So basically, like, we want to make something that touches your soul in a way that you feel like you've heard it before, but it hasn't, you know?
15 seconds.
We're constantly exploring, constantly experimenting. I don't think you hear it in the music. Like, we just want that knock, and we want some sounds that you ain't heard before. You know? I want to hodgepodge some shit to where you hear it and you're like, what is this doing?
3.
What is this making me feel like? Am I on drugs?
1. DJ Burn One, you have passed the factor, and you got that good young mulligan at the beginning because he came out with the
I know, I heard it at the beginning. I was like, we're going to let it slide.
I'll be trying to let it slide because the one thing somebody was hit you with an or they start out with just like silence.
Like, all right, so let me be like, well.
Oh, man. You did pretty good on the factor, bro. So I know one of the things we talked about before we got started was you have a group called Indeed. Yeah, I was wondering if you could talk about that.
Yeah, and D-Face is it's a group. Ricky and Walt, who produced with me, they got a band, and they rap and sing, amongst other things, and play all the instruments and stuff. So we put out 3 albums on them. You can check out the most recent album, Who Killed the Last Dragon. That shit's super
That's
dope.
a dope name.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah, super tight. And it's fun. It's just a way to get a different side out. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you do drums with a certain swing for so long, you're like, man, I just want to do something else. You know what I'm saying? So it's like nice to be able to do that. And then we got a new artist, Anna Valina, a female singer that we've been developing for the past 3 years, who's out now. We actually just had an album just come out on iTunes yesterday called Land of a Million Chords.
Okay.
So if y'all check that out, she's got some songs on there. Ricky and Walt got some solo songs on there. Then we got some instrumentals and some samples. Samples are something big that we've been doing recently too. Like we did the samples for Bitch and Ugly God on Ugly God's album. Jericho, he's got a record called Stiff Arm. We did the sample for that. That'll be out Friday. Just something big we've been doing. We did the record with Young Mon, One Mind. One Mind did Unforgettable for French Montana. And so we sent it. It's like Walt playing violin, some keys and stuff. And then they just flipped it. And then Young Ma got on it. It's just cool. It's like a new way to collaborate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to love being in the studio and feeding off the energy, which I still do. But also if somebody's in California and whatever, you know, it's just like, it's a cool way to collaborate.
Y'all got a sound pack or sound kit, anything?
We got one coming out with License Lounge. Actually, we got two beat catalogs up. Licensing is something that we've been big on too recently, like sound beat leases. So we got 2 catalogs. We got one on BeatStars and one on License Lounge. And we got a sample pack coming out with License Lounge. So now producers be able to get their hands on our sounds and trick it out, you know what I'm saying? And guarantee, because that's another thing too. People want to sample, but they don't want to have to like, oh shit, is it going to be like Steely Dan and they take 99% of my published shit?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we're always going to clear, always going to be cool, you know?
That deal is exclusive with
What's
them, with the sample kit, the sample pack, the company you're going with?
For this one, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it's up until this point, we just been feeding producers, like working with Honorable C Note, One
Yeah.
Mind, Cardo. We got one with Cardo on the Payroll album, Payroll Giovanni.
Okay.
Yeah, they got an album called Big Boss in Volume 2. We did a song with them on there called Deep. You know, Cardo did Goosebumps and fucking all that shit, you know. He's been like my homie since back in the day.
We're going to have to holler at you off the air because we definitely might have to get a future sound kit from 5 Points over on Producergrind.com. Man.
That'd be dope, man.
Well, that's kind of I actually wanted to ask you about. You said you learned how to sell music back at your old job that you had, and so that leads me to this next question: what does selling music look like in 2018?
Man, you know what was cool about selling music at the CD stores, people would come in and they'd be like, what's hot? And you'd be like, oh, X, Y, and Z, and they'd be like, why? So now it's like, it's always in the back of my mind when I'm making music, like, why would anybody listen to this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, because it's special in this way. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm figuring that out. Selling music now is like, it's like being really consistent. You know what I'm saying? You're really selling yourself as an artist. I think I first saw that with Wiz. So he wasn't really selling a song, because I went on tour with Wiz on his first big tour, where he put out Cushion Orange Juice during the middle of the tour, when I was out there with Yellow Wolf. And it was the first time I remember going out with the PR, not the PR, but the booking agent for Wiz. And we were trying to figure out, like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't got one song that's doing it. She's like, if you're looking for a song, it ain't it. People fuck with him.
It's a brand.
That's where we're at nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People fuck with Yachty. You know what I'm saying? It's not really just a song. Like, people like Cold as Minnesota, but it's like, he's still going.
Yeah.
People just fuck with that energy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like when you're that type of person, you're that type of cat, you know, like even Gucci or these people, like, it's like a cult personality. It's somebody that's going to be consistent with putting out music. And it's not specifically off this one song did this or this, that. You know, it's like, it's always good to have a hit or whatever, but these people that are like, look at Currency.
Yeah. Currency been around
ain't
for a
got
minute.
one song that we're like, this is the Currency song.
Yeah.
It's just the vibe.
Yeah, man. He's just got so much material. He's going
I
to keep
used to-
dropping the album, keep dropping this. So
My
I feel
brother
like that's
put me
what's
on the
up.
Currency back in high school.
Well, I think of what he said about the branding too, right? Like, this is what I know about Currency. If I don't know nothing else, we can smoke to that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
can smoke some weed.
And that's kind of, yeah.
Bro, and that's what I saw with Wiz too. It
Yeah,
was like,
exactly.
I'm the fucking stoner you want to hang out with. You know what I'm saying? Like, girls want to hang with me, guys want to be me. You know what I'm
Exactly,
saying?
yeah.
It's just that type of energy, you know? I think people feel, and you know, I feel like especially certain people, when you're spreading that much light, like Wiz is all on the positivity. Yachty's all on the positivity. When you're on that type of shit, even that dude, what's his name, Kyle, Super Duper Kyle,
Yeah.
like, when you're that fucking happy and that bright, and you know, you're around these people, and it's like, what is star power? What is star attraction? When that man walks into a room, people just,
Yeah.
even if they didn't know who he was before, they just naturally come around him. You know what I'm saying?
And when they start talking, everybody shuts up and listens.
Influence.
I try to tell people, like, the first thing I knew about working with rappers, if you're in a room full of rappers, you're not gonna get a word in edgewise. Because rappers just got so much personality, and the really good ones are the ones you want to shut up. The really good ones are the ones that the other rappers be quiet and listen to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it
So
star
now-
power something you're born with, or is it something that you can work towards?
I think you can develop it, but I don't know if you can just. I don't know. I'll never say never to anything, because I've seen some miraculous turnarounds and shit of like, really, that guy? Or really, you know what I'm saying? From like, you know, seeing OJ as just a homie that was around Gucci, that like having the biggest record in the city.
Yeah.
And like being really charismatic and, you know, just seeing him just being cool, you know, it's like, I think anybody, but even like when I met Young Dro, I knew he was a star. You know what I'm saying? Just because he was fucking funny. You know what I'm saying? He was like a cartoon character in your face. You know what I'm saying? Some people just jump off the page, you know? And I feel like, I don't know if you could really create that.
Why are so many people, because what I heard you say also is these are people that are just being themselves. Why are people so afraid to be themselves now?
Man, people want to fit in. People want to blend in, you know, which is kind of weird. You know, I've always kind of been about standing out. You know, maybe that's just from growing up and the way I did and sitting at the one table with the kids who weren't accepted. Never really worried about acceptance. You know what I'm saying? So I was always cool going left. Like when I put out the Ashtray, which was an instrumental album that we did when me and my guys first got together, it was like, you know, industry people were like, oh, you're just going to end up with a bunch of whack people on your beats and da-da-da-da-da and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I don't care.
Like, I want to put this vibration out there to the world to hear. And it wasn't the beats that everybody was doing at the time. You know what I'm saying? It was something different. Weren't perfectly sequenced. It wasn't nothing perfect about it. It was just us, you know? I think people appreciate that, you know? I think more and more people are realizing it's better to just be yourself because you're going to get exposed for being, if you're trying to be somebody else
The
every
burden
fucking
is
day.
the burden is way too heavy.
I was gonna say,
Especially with shit being as wild as it is now. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be on all that fucking gun talk and all that shit, bro, you fucking better be about it and know how to move in accordance. You know what I'm saying? It's like people out here every day rapping about all this extra shit, getting caught. You know, it's like, hey, man, you better fucking take this shit real serious, that energy you're putting in the music. Now, if you came from it and you're telling the reporting of what you've been around, that's one thing. You know, if you're rapping about straps and shit just because you think it's a fashion statement, if you're trying to join a gang just because you want to wear red, if you're, you know what I'm saying? Like, this better be true to your core and your spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody trying Nipsey. They know what that's about. That's a real honest, coming from a real place. Some of these other cats, dog, you know, I see it.
A good producer colleague of mine had been in the industry. He was telling me a story about how when he first came in, he was rapping, and they had a major label deal on the table, but the label wanted them to adopt these characters, and it was like some redneck backwoods type of thing. And he knew from the moment if they signed their name on that paper, I'm this guy for the rest of my life.
Forget
and
that.
it's just kind of like you'll never be free if you decide to be something you're not.
Yeah, man. You know, it's interesting because I feel like Bubba Sparxx kind of got pigeonholed in that. You know, that's a good friend of mine. And he was definitely a rapper from the country. That's his new album coming out, but he was a rapper from the country. But I don't think he was hanging out in pig pens and, you know what I'm saying, wearing overalls, you know what I'm saying? But they were just like, let's play that shit up.
You worked
His
with
marketing, it looks iconic.
Yeah.
It looks like, you know what I'm saying, something. But then it's like by the time you come around to doing New Booty, it's like, oh, now he's a street cat or whatever. It's like he was always the cooler, not street, but he was always the cooler urban country dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like to just throw him in the pig pen with the overalls and no glasses. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like, it wasn't all the way exactly.
I feel like they did that with Yellow Wolf too.
Yeah. There's a lot going on with that too. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I feel like, you know, once you kind of get in that lane, it's kind of hard to pull out. So it's kind of hard for you to like totally go in. It's funny, it's like I see some parallels between rap and wrestling.
Nah, for real.
You know, it's like you can't not. They create these characters and then they put them out there. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, what do you do when that character, you know, turns heel or turns, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you can't control that. You know, in wrestling you can control that. You can give somebody the belt and be like, oh, we're gonna get him back with the goodwill of the people. You know, we'll have him join NWO and get cool for a minute, then he'll come back to the good side or whatever the fuck it is. You know, it's like
What is
rap. It's like you're kind of that person,
Yeah.
and we're always gonna remember you as the first thing we saw you as. You know. And certain people can reinvent themselves. You know, like Kanye's done a decent job of like reinventing himself and like going from like, you know, backpack dude to futurist to whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But shit, even Future. You know, like Future came out, he was one thing, and then, you know, he came out with what was it? I don't know if it was Honest or Pluto or something. And then he had like love songs and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
everybody was like,
A lot of
what
people
is
say
this?
before and after Bugatti.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, what is this? You know, it's like he's doing a video with the moon and the girl singing, you know, and they're like, what is this? And then he went back to, you know what I'm saying? It was like, y'all want street shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, this is what y'all want. I got you. And then he fucking went back in his bag in the dirty Sprite. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if y'all want that, I'm going to give that to y'all in 10, you know? But it's hard once you set those expectations for yourself, you know?
So we got Overrated, Underrated on the Producer Grind podcast
Hold on,
with
I
DJ
want to ask
Burn
one
One.
good question for you.
Oh, go ahead, bro.
So, what exactly are industry plants, and what are your thoughts on that?
Man.
I want to know. I just didn't see that coming.
Yeah. No, I mean, it went with the last question. I thought what we were talking about.
Yeah, it does. Wow.
I don't know, man. I
that real?
go back and forth on this. You know, going through my experience, I would say ASAP Rocky was an industry plant. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, you got millions of dollars coming out, and it's like you're putting it out as a mixtape, like you're just like building all this buzz on your own, but it's like a bunch of money behind you to push it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think that's literally the definition of what that is. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a big thing too. I learned while I was out there is like a lot of people are signed and they're not telling people because they want it to look like it's organic. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's part of that culture. You know what I'm saying? Not like, oh,
It's, you know, and I think people say industry plans like, oh, that invalidates what somebody's done. Like he busted his ass and like made it, and he's a star.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? A$AP Rocky's absolutely a star. But it's like I feel like that is the definition of what that is. You know what I'm saying? I know they were joking about Rari and all that shit, but they were developing them. You know what I'm saying? Like artist development. Like, what else do you want? You know, it's like, and artists ain't doing artist development no more. You know, so it takes a company who's super dope, like Love Renaissance. You know, to fucking do that. But yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think these are also just terms that people on the internet like to argue about, like type beat producers. You know, you can literally just type in type beat producers and just see so many arguments over, oh, they're just making beats that sound like it this. And it's like, no, it's really a marketing tactic.
Exactly.
I didn't even understand it.
Yeah.
It's just a marketing tactic. Like we went and did some music with these kids at the Boys and Girls Club in the Thomasville Heights 2 days ago. And it was like, we got verses already. It's like, what y'all write to? They pulled up Young Thug type beat and it was a Cash Money AP beat. You know, and it's like, check. You know what I'm saying? It's just interesting, man. I love how things move around and things are just, you know. But, you know, I definitely think people just like to argue over fucking terms. You know what I'm saying? Just
semantics.
the base of it. Yeah, it is semantics.
Well, I'm laughing because as you started to answer the question, I didn't understand your question to be, I guess I thought industry plant to me was something else.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I guess to me, I thought industry plant was, yo, there's no way that song isn't good and it's doing numbers and people seem to love it. To me, that's an industry plant. But also, this is just like perception because I definitely see how what you just described.
Yeah, you can't really fake success. Like people genuinely fuck with Peso though. Like that was a great song. You know what I'm saying? That shit jumped it off. You know what I'm saying? But the plan part was having $1 million behind you and not acting like you're not signed and not paying your fucking producers. You know what I'm saying? It's like pay your producers, pay your producers.
Hey, your
So
producers, goddamn.
With the way how you say it's like WWE now, and you know with the reality shows and everything, you think it's going more towards being more industry plans? You think that's kind of like we'll eventually get away from it? What do you think?
It's definitely in vogue to be signed and not tell people you're signed, and for them to like keep building their, you know. There's probably 5 rappers out there, probably some of the top rappers who you don't think are signed. They're like secretly signed to somebody and they got to deal with somebody. It's just getting punked. I don't know, man. Get it how you live, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't fake success. You know what I'm saying? Like people genuinely like Cold as Minnesota. People genuinely like these songs. And you can't, you know, like you look at how many times people have tried to push shit. Like you remember, I don't know, back in the day, I could just remember so many rappers. You could tell they were throwing marketing dollars behind it, but it wasn't moving. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't think you see that much nowadays because you can't fake Spotify numbers and you can't fake certain things.
Well, you can fake Spotify numbers. You can fake all the numbers.
A little bit. You know, it's like people thought they could fake SoundCloud numbers, but it's like if you don't get if you got like 4 comments and 500,000 listens, it's like this shit don't add up. You know, you can get like people know. You know what I'm saying? Like the labels know. Like if you're faking these numbers, that's why people like buying followers or doing this shit. It's like. You're not fooling anybody but people who don't give a shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, I got 500,000 followers. That don't matter. As soon as the label looks into it, they're like, you know.
Now, what about using the fake numbers as a tactic to like gain attention? Because you know people are like, who's this dude getting all these likes, man? I gotta see who this is. I might miss out. You know what I mean?
I think if it becomes enough to where people are paying attention to it, it's probably genuine.
If
you know what I'm saying?
It is.
Yeah. If it gets to a point where it's genuine, you know what I'm saying? We can all like point to like a random person who might leave a comment and you look at their page, you're like, how the fuck does this person have 500,000 people? And you look and they got like 1,000 likes on a page or something. You're like, this don't add up to fucking 500,000. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that. But if it's like somebody that's actually popping, I think a lot of time with hip hop, when you hear something like a Yachty that's so different, you're like, I can't believe it. It must be fake. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, some people actually just kind of like shit that's just fun. Yeah. You got to remember, rap is part of entertainment.
Well, people got to
Music
stop.
is entertainment.
People got to stop making snap judgments. So like, observe. Just observe. Spend a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
And then stuff is different. People are automatically not going to appreciate it as much. I'm honestly more surprised when I hear somebody that sounds like everybody and they're popping. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how's this guy that sounds like everybody? Like, this dude literally sounds like everybody, and he's popping.
Yeah.
That kind of blows my mind more than somebody who's just like Yachty or somebody that just comes out of left field and it's like, you know, first time you heard Cold as Minnesota, you're like, is that pitched up?
Because you know what I'm saying?
Did they pitch the whole song? You know?
You just don't understand the why behind it.
Yeah, you don't get it.
It's like
because
back
it's
to the same
new.
thing you learned. You said you're always asking for the why. Like, why are people listening?
And so it's like punk rock. You know, it's like when the original punk rockers are doing it, they weren't caring about levels and fucking just, you know, whatever. They're just fucking doing it. And then labels and people come in, they start being like, oh, they like distortion. Let's put some distortion on here. They, you know what I'm saying?
Reverse
They
engineering.
sanitize it.
Then they start reverse engineering it, basically, right?
Yeah, and it becomes desanitized, watered down. You know, like I think a lot of pop radio, you hear that now. Because I got kids who listen to, pop radio. I think you hear a lot of that now. Of like, we're talking about just like the hip hop influence. You know, like we're just tight, man. You know, the beautiful thing about the hip hop influence is everybody's drums are knocking down. You know what I'm saying? You're like, damn, that Selena Gomez record. You know what I'm saying? Like, holy shit. And it's like, it's interesting too, because it's giving work to a lot of people who are fire and got talents way beyond rap, like my homie Happy Perez. He did How You Do That there for CeeLo back when I was a child. You know what I'm saying? I remember hearing that, you know what I'm saying? But like, oh shit, what's that? And fucking hearing that shit. And then all the way going up. And now he put out, when I was even a little bit older, he put out Baby Bash, Sugar Sugar. He did that shit, some other stuff.
Not about that joint.
And then he went past that and he put out Miguel. He did Sure Thing. To the other day, he did Luke Skywalker. To fucking now he's doing Halsey, Now or Never. To doing what else he did? He did a record on the Superfly record. The title track. That's like the theme playing throughout the whole thing. No Shame.
Yeah.
He did that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, that's so beautiful that he can get pop money now. Before, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have got a hip hop producer doing pop shit. Not on the regular. You might have got Timberland doing a record with Nelly Furtado. That was it. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, oh, there's so much more room to go around. That's why they're like, there's no money in music. Don't let them fucking tell you that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's people trying to game you. That's people trying to take from you. It's out there. You just got to find how it's moving around. Think there's music playing in more places than ever. You can't walk down the street and not hear it playing from like a little stone in a shopping center, on the ground, in a car passing by, on somebody's phone. It's playing everywhere.
That fact, I was thinking about this last week. It shocks me how little the average person knows about making beats, but how greatly it affects their lives. And that perplexes me. Like that concept perplexes me. You have no idea how to make a beat, yet all of that music is in your car, it's on your screen, it's in your headphones. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a phenomenon in and of itself.
Yeah, it's definitely wild.
It's crazy.
All right, man. Overrated, underrated.
Yeah, back to overrated.
Underrated. Here we go. Overrated, underrated on the Producergrind podcast with DJ Burn One. Overrated, underrated. We present you with 5 topics. You simply tell us whether you think that topic is overrated or underrated. And if we feel it merits further discussion, we will ask you, DJ Burn One, are you ready for overrated, underrated?
Yes.
Overrated, underrated. Thrift store shopping.
Oh man, super underrated.
Facts.
Super underrated. Did we just say super?
Man, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, dog, I just had some community service. I realized how much I've been overpaying for shit. I was like, damn, dog. Man. I was like, man, you get a whole fucking living room set for like $200. The fuck did I pay $2,000 for? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and even equipment and different shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's so many steals and books. I got 10 books for $1.
Damn.
10 books for $1. And there were fire books that easily were going for like 40 a piece.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, shit's amazing, dog. I'm learning to be thrifty. You know what I'm saying? It's tight.
I know the thrift store, the big plug, the big hack with the thrift stores, they be having like plugs and adapters. They'll have like a whole thing of like plugs and adapters for like some old shit you need.
Yeah. Yeah, they got real cool shit.
Overrated, underrated on the Producergrind podcast with DJ Burn One. Overrated, underrated, LimeWire.
LimeWire, man. That was one of the places where it all started. I'll say the place where it all started for me was fucking the AOL chat rooms. I'm gonna take it way back. I don't know if anybody knows about
You remember BearShare?
BearShare. I was using BearShare.
BearShare.
It's BearShare.
Yeah, bro. Well, the AOL chat rooms was like the precursor to all of that. Like, what basically when you're on the 56K, like the dial-up shit, you would go into these chat rooms and they had it to where you could type in a command plus the album title, and it would email you the album and it would download overnight. So it's like, because nobody was using the phone during night, I would let a whole album download for like 7 hours, 6-7 hours overnight. And I'd wake up and have an album. And that's how I ended up like burning CDs and getting into actual music, because I was the only person that knew how to get albums off the internet back then.
Bro, you was like the plug back then. I remember I went to high school with a guy like you, boy. That nigga stayed with something.
Was you getting video games too?
Not initially. I was just playing like Minecraft, not Minecraft, but like solitaire. Just
okay.
That pinball games.
I remember
Y'all two probably met on a chat line or something at some point. Overrated, underrated with DJ Burn One. Overrated, underrated, Backwoods.
Backwoods. You talking about the rap group or the blunts?
I forgot about Backwoods, but yeah,
bro, I'll smoke a Backwood with somebody every now and then, bro. I feel like I'm gonna die. My homie Poe, he was from DC. And I remember he was the first person I knew smoking like 8 years ago down here, and I was like, all right, it's just so dark. I'm on the J's, bro. I love the J's. You know what I'm saying? I like the raw papers. Yeah, like the natural cones. You know what I'm saying?
What's your favorite strain?
Oh man, I'm gonna say Tangy. That was the last thing I smoked with my dog Seth. You know what I'm saying? He loved that fucking Tangy OG. It was really nice.
Carrington, what's your favorite strain?
I don't have one. I really don't.
I was about to say also too, I just smoke weed. Like I'm just a smoker. Like if somebody brings me weed, I'm probably just gonna smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be like, what is this?
When I was like a real casual smoker, like all right, whatever. Like once you smoking heavy, like I care what I'm smoking. I know you care what you smoking, right?
I like the up weed too. I don't like the sleepy weed. You know, I always forget and get confused, but I like the up weed. I like to be working, you know. I don't like to smoke nothing and be like
indicas, they call them indica-couch. That's how you know.
There you go. Exactly. Everything's like a hybrid now anyways, though.
That's true. Part. That's facts. Overrated, underrated with DJ Burn 1. Overrated, underrated, tour life.
Tour life. Man. Fuck, dog. I'm going to have to say the experiences are underrated. Doing the grind is overrated as fuck. That's just tough, dog. It's hard to focus. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with a lot of boredom, a lot of traveling. A lot of you can't do productive shit while you're traveling. Mm-hmm. So it's like you end up doing other shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I fell into a spill of doing like pain pills and shit. You know what I'm saying? Just like pass the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Be like, oh, see, I fucked up. I can be in public without people knowing. You know what I'm saying? Like play weird ass fucking games with yourself and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's gonna be the outtake right there.
Just being honest, you know what I'm saying? It's like you just end up doing these weird things to bide your time, you know what I'm saying? My homie El Matic, he just got off, he's a photographer. He just got off tour with Big Crit.
Oh, that's what's up.
He did I just saw him doing an interview talking about how he just had to just take like a month off when he came back, just like reassess.
Like recalibrate.
Yeah, man. You know, I used to tour with Ritz too. And it was just like, man, just so much heavy drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm not being productive. I'm not making music. And I'm not making a bunch of money. So I'm like, what am I really doing? It just feels very masturbatory just to be out there. And just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not getting anything from this. You know what I'm saying? At all. I'm just doing this for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not helping my family. I'm not getting any better in life. I'm just fucking getting smashed out here every night. You know, like dapping people up. People telling me I'm great. You know what I'm saying? This is nice for a little while. But after a while, I'm like, you know, I like performing and shit. And now that I'm playing instruments, it's probably a little bit more fun. But I really just enjoy making music. You know what I'm saying? I like developing artists. I like taking stuff from the ground up. I like finding people. You know, like when I was with Gucci, he didn't have, like, the first day I met Gucci, he had done the Black Tea remix and played that for me. But that was like right when he did So Icy. He hadn't released it. He took me to his mom's basement and played me So Icy. You know, it was like, I fuck with him just because he was, like I said, he was just a funny dude who was rapping about real shit. Just like when I met Dro, he's just like a cartoon character. And that's just usually my base. I'm like, does this guy entertain me? Is this funny? Is this something I'd be interested in?
Yeah.
And usually once I pass that, I'm like, shit, I'll fuck with them and spend some time and try to, you know, take it where we can take it.
Podcast achievement unlocked. He used masturbatory in a sentence.
Masturbatory.
Yo, man, what's next? 2018.
Man, everything, man. I got a really dope record that I'm working on with David Banner now. We're about to go to New Orleans and work with Trombone Shorty.
Okay.
Goals, producer goals.
Right.
And it's fire, dog. It's like a second line record. It's just beautiful. Like literally, I just spent the past 2 days just doing nothing but working on it. And it's a blast, man. I'm like, what else would I rather be doing? You know what I'm saying? I just sent him the beat. It was like 4 a.m. and I just sent him like a little snippet of the beat, like a video. I was like, he'll wake up in the morning and send me something back. He texts me back immediately. Hard as shit. Send me some, you know what I'm saying? Send me some notes. I stay up to like 7:30 sequencing it and shit like that. And the next day, spent all day. It's just like, man, it's just so much fucking fun. But doing that, you know, we got the Superfly record out. So I'm excited about the work that's going to come from that, especially being a different sounding record.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds very cinematic. You know what I'm saying? So seeing what comes off of that. We had the Land of a Million Chords album that just dropped. Y'all go check that out. That gives you a little taste. It's like a little taster of everything we got. And then Walt's got a solo album. Like I said, we've been developing Anna Valina. We're about to ready to start rolling her stuff out. We got so much music, and that's just so different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just a different flavor. You know what I'm saying? I like when stuff just catches me, and I'm like, there's not this out there right now.
Yeah.
That's all I'm looking for. There's not this out there right now. I know it's out there. I pay enough attention to what's out there. And because that's the thing I find with producers too. Don't just be in a hole and not just paying attention to shit. Don't do it. Because then you're going to think you didn't change the game and either hey, somebody's done it, is doing it, or you're just way off left and you're not even
way
in the
behind
fucking sphere. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, pay attention enough to know what's going on and figure out how you can slide in. But we got that. We just got a bunch of stuff, man. I'm looking forward to just releasing music. The old head way and the old way of doing it is cycles. Get an album cycle. We got 3 months. We're gonna promote and do this. No, now it's just dropping music. Drop music, stay consistent, put out content. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out which way we want to put out content. Because they got different people. Like doing YouTube tutorials and shit like that. I think we're gonna end up doing like a producer masterclass. As opposed to doing like very small tutorials, just do like a class and you can just buy the class, you know what I'm saying? And maybe like 12 things, you know what I'm saying? Sound selection, arrangement, just kind of going down and being like, if you're a producer and you want to learn more, or if you don't know shit, you know what I'm saying? We're going to give you the 12, whatever, to kind of do that. I feel like that's better for us. Like I like tutorials, I like watching them, but just doing a tutorial on, how to make your 808s hit harder, do this. It's deeper than that.
Much deeper.
It's deeper than that for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you can't put it all together, getting the snare to knock ain't gonna fucking matter. You know what I'm saying?
It's
like if you ain't got no melody,
picture.
if you ain't got the right sound, if you're using, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a big thing with me is like using earth sounds and recording stuff. Like we did sound design for movie trailers, and we did like 30 sounds and sold them to a company. And so now you hear our shit in movie trailers. Just like random hits, breaking Hennessy bottles and fucking putting animal sounds and all this shit. You know what I'm saying? But that just opened my mind.
Did y'all document that process?
No. This is before the whole thing. We might end up probably for the producer masterclass, we'll probably do a little section on sound design. And we're going to film all that too and put it with it,
That's dope.
Because I feel like, people just need knowledge. And there's so many people giving away to take back immediately. I've always given from a place of just, if I just share and give and throw alley-oops. That's why I feel like I got good karma and good mojo now. Like good things happen just because I've thrown alley-oops and like hooked somebody with somebody and done this for somebody and done this and helped somebody with this and helped this and didn't ask for nothing. I don't need nothing from you. Not from you or for anybody in particular. You know what I'm saying? Like if I do something, that was for me. You know what I'm saying? That was just to like, oh, this is a good dude. Let me plug you with somebody. And it's like, there's plenty of times that I hook somebody up and they just like ran off with the plug or done this or done that. And it's like,
please don't run off
that's
with the
fine.
plug.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I've learned how to stay away from negative people and who to keep around me and stuff like that. But I never did anything for anybody. And I think people, when they come in the game, they're just looking for what they can get. That's a bad place to come from. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really know how much you're going to grow.
Yeah.
You need to come in. Like, if you want to learn how to produce, like, I'll just give you a real quick tip. If y'all want to get around producers, start doing interviews. Just like this. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to know you guys now just from doing this.
Thanks.
Like, I literally, when I wanted to get around producers that I fuck with, I did a hip-hop DVD called The Fix. I tried to look online and find it. I don't even know where this shit's at now. But I basically went around to DJ Tune. I went to Mr. DJ. I went to all my favorite producers. I hit them up, found their little contact information, hit them up, hey, man, can I do an interview? Did the interview. They saw the shit. They saw I did dope work. And I followed through with my word. And they saw that I was cool and I wasn't fucking annoying. And so I hit them up a couple weeks later. Hey, what's up, man? I'm around. Mind if I follow through? Shit, yeah, come through and smoke one. You know what I'm saying? And I could just be a fly on the wall and watch them produce. You know what I'm saying? How invaluable is that to sit there and watch DJ Tune make countless beats per day for however many times I went over there? And now me and Tune were super fucking cool. Like, that's like my OG road dog. And somebody was saying some stupid shit on some industry shit behind my back. And he was like, hey, dog, I told him about this and da-da-da and told me about it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's real life connections. But it came from providing that value and finding a reason to get in and not just randomly emailing people or sending, yo, fuck with me, let's collab, da-da-da-da-da. That does nothing for me.
Yeah.
Why would I do that for you? Back in the day, I would have done something like that. But now I got my own shit. I got things. I got mouths to feed. I got whatever, It's like if people were coming to me, yo, I got some drums for you that are fucking crazy. Well, shit, send them. Let me, you know what I'm saying? Come, bring me some value. Do something for me. And then I can, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what I was just doing for other people. So that's a real easy tip just to like get in the circle.
No, yes.
When I did, I'll tell y'all the real thing. Like I went to school with the girls Ecstasy who were signed with Grand Hustle. There were 2 girl rappers and I went to high school with them. They were like a grade or 2 above me.
and they came into my CD store, had given mixtapes. I was like, yo, I'm doing mixtapes. Y'all think y'all can do some drops and get T.I. to host my tape? So when I was in my senior year of high school, T.I. hosted my first tape when trap music came out. I was in high school, I had my mixtape hosted by him. You know, like that made me fucking legit. Like everybody went from looking down on me because I was a white dude. I'm half Mexican, but the white dude who talked black, what they thought. You know what I'm saying? To fucking, oh shit, you're cool as fuck. You're hanging out with T.I. Da-da-da-da-da. And then that allowed me, not like I gave a fuck about people, but it changed perceptions. But then it allowed me to go to Grand Hustle. Mm-hmm. And I'll get off from school, like I said, I'm hitting 285. And I'll stop at Grand Hustle for a couple hours. And just sit there. Just shut the fuck up and watch. You know what I'm saying? Not bother nobody, not do shit. And I remember asking Big Country, the first time I saw Pro Tools file, Big Country was recording himself. I was like, what are them colors? He said, that green one is snare, man. I was like, what's the blue one? That's a kick right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. Still don't know what the fuck a kick or a snare. Not for real. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, go home. Kick. Snare. You know what I'm saying? And learn. You know what I'm saying? It's incremental. You know, it's like, the thing is, like, I realized doing a little bit every day is better than trying to fucking become a king or a master in one day. That ain't finna happen. These incremental gains is where it's at. I recently just got back on working out, and I realized I tried to run up this hill one day on Sunday. Made it halfway up the hill. Next day, I made it up the hill. The next day, I made it up the hill and around my neighborhood. Yesterday, I had to, like, go do something or whatever, and I ran, like, a slick mile, not even getting winded. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I had to check myself. I was like, what is wrong? I was like, I'm actually getting in better health just by doing a little bit more every day. And I'm realizing that with the bass too, learn a little bass chord that say, learn a little thing that day, practice a little bit more, quicker, better, sharper. I'm hopping in more. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just do things you can do each day to make you better.
But that understanding comes with maturity, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to share with the kids now. I ain't preaching. I'm trying to share y'all the things out. What you say, Hope went through that, so you got to go through that.
Yeah,
you know?
But like at 20, like you think, oh, I see that I have to have everything now. And you don't even realize, like I was telling some people, new producers hit me up all the time. Yo, I want to take my first step. What should I do? If I gave you the best DAW with every possible plug-in you could have, it would be too much for you. The best thing is to start with something small and hit your ceiling. And when you hit your ceiling, you'll know exactly what you need next.
Yeah, man. And, use frustration to fuel you. There's so many times I hit my wall, I'm like, fuck. Google, how do you? You know what I'm saying? Like, It's a very humbling thing to be like, I don't know, and do it. And I feel like everybody is so caught up in this. I know. I got this. I know. I always tell this funny story about Bubba Sparxx. I wasn't a yes man. But I was like, it was my first time being around a low-key celebrity or whatever, you know what I'm saying, a star. And so when they would be talking about shit, I just be like, no matter what the fuck they're talking about, just because you don't want to seem stupid, I'd be like, oh, yeah. And one time he was just like, if you don't know what you're talking about, just shut the fuck up. I was like, damn, you cut me deep, bro.
That's some good advice, though.
But it was, man, shut the fuck up, you might learn something. You know what I'm saying? Shut the fuck up, you might learn something. And then it's like, you don't know where that goes. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I learned. It's very cool. I listened to Malcolm Gladwell talk about his parents who were like incredibly educated. And he was like, his dad had no problem coming off as an idiot to somebody. He could talk about, somebody be like, I changed my tire. And he was like, I don't understand. And somebody looking at him like he's an idiot. And he was like, I don't understand. Could you tell me? It's like, yeah, well, you just take the nut and you do this. Oh, cool. Now he fucking knows
how to change the
tire.
tire.
Bro, that is powerful. Now I know. As opposed to being like, what the fuck is he talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, taking that cloud of mystery off and actually having the knowledge is more important than feeling like because everybody wants to look like they're in control. Nobody's in control. You know what I'm saying? None of us. We're all just like drifting through life trying to make the best decision, bouncing off this.
Day
you know
by
what I'm
day.
saying? It's like, it's like just understand what you know. Now I fucking know. You know that that's what I learned from my dog Seth. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like trial and error until he learned what he knew. And you weren't fucking finna get him off his square. You know what I'm saying? Oh, let's do this, that, and the other. I'm not doing that. Damn, this dude's an asshole. This dude's whatever. No, he just knows his shit. You know what I'm saying? I remember when we were doing the last mix session we did, I watched him put a high pass filter, a low pass, whatever, roll off the bottom of my 808 to like 30 hertz. And I was like, I slid up by him. I was like, what you doing, dog? What you doing rolling off my bottom? I need my bass, my bass, my bottom. He was like, it's moving the speaker, but you don't hear it. He like rolled off the top to the bottom and just lets you hear just that 30, and you're like,
it's useless.
It's fucking useless. It's nothing. As soon as you roll off to that 30, pro tip,
get your 808s to bang harder. Roll that fucking shit off to 30. It's automatically because you're clearing headroom. That's the thing what people don't understand about music. You can only go to 0. You can't go past 0. You know what I'm saying? You only got so much water to put in the glass. You know what I'm saying? Then you can't go over it. So it's like if you take off a little bit of the bottom, you got more of the top that can go. So you roll it off, it gets louder. I didn't understand that. That's why Future shit. You know what I'm saying? It's right in there. And he wasn't doing 1,000 things. You know, like when you first get into mix and shit, you're like, I need to use this plugin. I need to use this. And I got to use that because I saw this or whatever. You really don't. You know what I'm saying? It starts with sound selection. And, you know, it's like if you're doing beats for Future, you got a solid sound selection already. So he knew if Sizzle gives him an 808, he don't have to fucking reinvent the 808. Let me put my sample. No, dog. Roll off a little bit of that bottom.
You're talking about from 0 to 30 hertz, like on the
the very bottom of the frequency spectrum. Yeah, dog. Just roll that shit off. You're gonna hear the beat knock harder, and the whole thing's gonna be apparently louder. You know?
You're like this too in the way you come off. A lot of the best engineers we meet are not like technical guys; they're like problem solvers.
That's what it is.
Turn your mic up a little bit. Bro.
Yeah.
It's been slowly coming. You're supposed to touch this, bro.
Huh? Oh, my bad.
Nah, you're good.
Yeah.
It's been slowly kind of going down.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, but the best engineers are problem solvers. So it's not like, get that plugin, get this plugin. It's like, no, I need to do this. What can I do to get that done?
Yeah. And that's all it is creative problem solving because you're always going to use an instrument you never used or a thing you never had. It's good to know.
So where can we find you on social media, bro?
At DJ Burn1, DJ BURNONE. Our website's the5pointsbakery.com. All spelled out, the 5 Points Bakery. That's really where you can keep up with us, man. We got like our discography, we got all the stuff we've been pushing. We have done a couple of vlogs, like we went to Cali and did some stuff. I'll put up a couple more. Working with G Coop, who did Bad and Bougie, and One Mind. Like I said, the guys who did Unforgettable, we did a couple sessions out there and just put them up. It's cool just to let people see the process because it's like, I feel like things are so traditional. You know what I'm saying? Even when people use live instruments, they'll just get a guitar player to play and then they just keep the lick. You know what I'm saying? Like, we might have 3 people play at one time, play for 20 minutes, and grab a little piece of the section, pitch that shit down, and then build off of that and do completely new music and say, fuck the other 19 minutes of the music. You know? It's like I'm big on chance right now. Brother, things just by chance happening. And just for some reason, I just happened to pick this. And it could have came out no other way other than it did. That, to me, I'm feeling like the energy of like how fleeting that moment. You know what I'm saying?
On one hand, I feel you. On the other hand, I'm just thinking, bro, can we buy them scraps? You got 20 minutes of guitar.
You know, actually, that is where some of these samples come from. I'll go back in sessions and be like, wow, we did play for 20 minutes and didn't use only but a snippet of it. And that snippet was super hard, but we also got this other shit. And you can flip stuff a different way. You know, like if you throw it in a sampler and pitch 3 sounds down is way different than pitching the one guitar up. You know what I'm saying? Or picking another part, you know?
Hell yeah.
I can talk about this shit all day, bro. I love it, man.
This has been fun, bro.
Yeah.
Informative.
Hell yeah.
That's what's up, man. Appreciate
you pulling up, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate y'all having me. This is dope,
sure.
dog. I love it, man. I feel like I've gone through a bunch of shit, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell people about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, now I feel like it's my duty. That's why I was like, I started a nonprofit. Not like, I you know, for any type of whatever else. I'm like, I need to share this information. You know what I'm saying?
Else.
I got to give it out. Like I just did a Seth Ferkins appreciation thread. If you go to my Twitter feed, and I just put up a bunch of articles. He did like a sound on sound article where he breaks down everything he did on Future's Draco track.
Oh, wow.
If you want to know how to mix a track, just fucking read that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, wow, he's not doing a million things. He's doing a couple things really well. You know what I'm saying? But he's got interviews with Pisado's Place and all this shit. But I just put it all down because I'm like, he gave us this information. You know what I'm saying? I want to keep continuing that. You know what I'm saying? And just like all this stuff I've learned and been in the whole learning, now I'm coming out. I'm ready to go. I'm like, let me give this information away. You know, let me share all this stuff I learned.
Well, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Appreciate you joining us, bro.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Much love, dog.
Once again, man, that's the Producer Grind Podcast. It's episode 21 in the can. Thanks for joining us.
Peace.
We out.
Overproduced.